The termination letter slides across the mahogany desk like a knife. I stare at it, my coffee growing cold in my hands. Financial negligence, it reads. $5,000. My manager, Vance Keller, sits across from me with his hands folded. His expression as smooth as glass. He doesn't yell. He doesn't need to. The glass walls surrounding his office make sure the entire floor watches me unravel. You cost us $5,000, he says quietly. His voice almost kind. It's worse that way. Kindness feels like betrayal when it comes from someone holding a termination letter. Behind him, I can see my coworkers pretending not to look. Some already know. Office gossip moves faster than email. Security is waiting outside. I can feel them there, patient and permanent, ready to escort me out like I'm a criminal. My badge will be deactivated before I reach the elevator. My access revoked. My desk boxed up and waiting. Be thankful I'm not calling legal, Vance adds, leaning back in his chair like he's just done me a favor. His jaw is tight despite the smile, and something about that contradiction makes my skin crawl. This isn't about $5,000. I know it. He knows it. But he's betting I'm too shocked to figure out why. I take the letter with trembling fingers. This is the moment everything changes. My security badge stops working at the elevator. It beeps once, a sad final sound, and the light flashes red. I'm locked out. The two security guards who've been trailing me don't say anything. They just nod toward the stairs. Down we go. The elevator carries me to the ground floor, and I watch my reflection in the polished steel doors. I barely recognize the woman staring back. Bill. Hollow-eyed. Defeated. As the doors slide open, I hear Vance's laugh echoing down from somewhere above, that distinctive bark that has intimidated conference rooms for years. He's on the phone, probably celebrating. I hear fragments, $1 million deal, expansion closing, my biggest achievement yet. My biggest achievement yet. I built that deal line by line. Spreadsheets, vendor negotiations, risk assessments, months of meticulous work. And Vance is taking the credit like he always does. Like he always will. But in my bag, sitting next to my phone and my shattered dignity, is a company-issued USB drive I was never asked to return. It's been sitting in my desk drawer for 3 months, full of backup files, audit reports, and emails I wasn't supposed to save. Standard corporate protocol, except I actually followed it. I actually documented everything. I already know what's on it. And as I walk through the glass doors into the afternoon sunlight, one thought crystallizes with absolute clarity. Vance made a mistake. He should have asked for the drive back. Vance called an urgent meeting about a vendor approval for the expansion project. The numbers were tight, too tight. One vendor was promising services at prices that undercut the market by almost 30%. Didn't make sense. I raised my hand. Vance, these numbers don't align. Should we do another evaluation? The room went quiet. Vance smiled, but his jaw tightened. We don't slow momentum here, he said smoothly. The board wants this expansion moving. Let's approve and move forward. His tone wasn't a suggestion. It was a boundary, and I was crossing it. This vendor would later become the crown jewel of Vance's promotion pitch. The expansion would be his trophy. But the numbers never quite added up. Looking back now, I see it clearly. That moment planted a seed. Not a seed of revenge. I'm not that person. A seed of attention. Of noticing things. Of asking myself why someone so confident would shut down a reasonable question so quickly. The answer I would later discover was terrifying. I pull up the audit file on my home computer, hands shaking. The $5,000 discrepancy that got me fired isn't what they claimed. It's not a loss. It's a misclassification. Money moved between cost centers like someone was shuffling cards to hide a tell. The edit trail is sloppy. Almost too sloppy. Like whoever did this was confident no one would look too hard. Or they were in too much of a rush to be careful. I trace the entries backwards. The numbers were moved from a vendor expense category into operational costs, making the vendor look cheaper than they actually were. The timing is suspicious. The move happened right before Vance submitted his quarterly performance review. The one where he highlighted the expansion vendor as proof of his cost-saving abilities. The numbers he quoted, they were the edited ones. I sit back in my chair, and my apartment suddenly feels very quiet, very small. This wasn't an accident. This was deliberate. But here's what makes it worse. The edit trail doesn't point to me. My account wasn't used. My password wasn't logged in. Someone else moved these numbers. Someone with higher access than mine. Someone with a reason to want the numbers to look better than they were. Someone like a manager who wanted to look good for a promotion. I save the file to the USB drive. My hand hovers over my phone. Should I call someone? Should I report this now? But something stops me. A cold, rational part of my brain that's beginning to wake up. If I report this now, it becomes a he said she said situation. My word against his. And he just fired me for exactly this kind of thing. I need more evidence. I need proof so undeniable that there's no way they can spin it. I don't sleep that night. Instead, I pull every financial report I can access from the USB drive, going back months. And there it is. Again. And again. And again. The same vendor. The same timing. Right before every quarterly review, the numbers shift. Expenses get reclassified. True costs get hidden. It's like watching someone shuffle a card deck over and over, each time believing they're getting better at the trick. But I see it now. Every error appears right before Vance's performance reviews. The pattern is so clear it's almost insulting. This isn't incompetence. This is strategy. Calculated, deliberate, methodical strategy to inflate his achievements quarter after quarter. The total exposure isn't thousands. It's massive. I pull up a calculator and start adding. Vendor contracts show the real costs. The system shows the edited costs. The difference between reality and what Vance presented to leadership is $4 million. Maybe more. Maybe less. But definitely millions. My stomach turns. This isn't just fraud. This is massive fraud. And I became expendable the moment I started asking questions about it. The $5,000 was a pretext. A way to remove me before I dug deeper. Before I found this, I close the laptop and sit in darkness. For the first time since the termination letter, I feel something other than shame or betrayal. I feel something harder. Something colder. Feel clarity. I don't call a lawyer. I don't post angry messages online. I don't tell anyone except my sister, and even then I keep the details vague. Instead I start building something. Timeline, screenshots, version histories, email chains, approval logs. Every document that proves what I'm thinking. Vance himself becomes my best source of evidence. Emails praising my accuracy and attention to detail, sent just weeks before firing me. Elena's work on the expansion audit was flawless, he wrote to the CFO. Flawless. That word sits with me. He knew my work was good. He knew I didn't make errors. So firing me for making an error doesn't just not make sense. It's provably false. I organize everything into folders. I timestamp each screenshot. I document the edit trails showing who accessed what and when. I build a case so methodical, so undeniable, that it would survive any legal challenge. But I don't move yet. Wait. Watch. I let the anger cool into something sharper and more useful. Strategy. Then, one night, a realization hits me like cold water. I wasn't fired because I made a mistake. I was fired because I know about one. My sister tells me to let it go. She means well. You'll find another job. This is behind you now. But it's not behind me. It's everywhere. My mother calls worried I'll never work in this industry again. Termination for cause is like a scarlet letter. She suggests a career change. Something safer. I smile and nod. They don't understand that I'm not looking to heal. I'm looking to make someone understand what he did. But something else is happening inside me. A kind of cold focus that feels almost peaceful. It's not anger anymore. This is quiet. This is patient. I request my full personnel file from HR. Everything. Every email, every review, every note. It's time to see what they're hiding. HR sends the personnel file in a standard email with a generic attachment. I open it eagerly, looking for something specific. My last performance review. The one dated 2 weeks before my termination. It's not there. The file includes reviews from years past. It includes my original hiring documents. It includes emails about HR procedures. But the most recent review, the one that would prove I was performing well immediately before being fired for incompetence, is missing. Convenient. Almost suspiciously convenient. I forward the request again, this time copying the legal department. I write the email politely, professionally, but with a subtle edge. I believe there may have been an error in the document compilation. I don't see my most recent performance review from date. Could you provide that as well? Thank you. The response comes within minutes. Not hours. Minutes. Someone is paying attention to this request. Someone is nervous. HR responds. We're looking into this. It appears the file may not have been properly archived. We're checking our backup systems. But I already know what happened. That review didn't go missing by accident. It went missing on purpose. Because that review, the one Vance himself signed, contradicts everything about my termination. They find the review. Course they do. It materializes in my inbox like magic, with an apology about database errors and routine maintenance. I open it with a racing heart. The review is glowing. Genuinely glowing. Vance wrote that I was meticulous, reliable, and instrumental to the success of multiple high-level projects. He recommended a raise. He recommended me for advancement consideration. He signed it on the date of March 14th. My termination letter was dated March 28th, 2 weeks later. So here's the timeline. Vance writes a glowing performance review. He recommends me for promotion and a raise. Then 2 weeks later he fires me for financial negligence. And conveniently, the review disappears from my personnel file. The cognitive dissonance is staggering. No manager recommends someone for promotion and then fires them for incompetence 2 weeks later. It doesn't happen. Not unless something changed. Something major. Something that made me dangerous. Something like discovering massive financial fraud. And that's when my phone rings. It's a blocked number. I hesitate, then answer. Don't use your personal email for company requests, a woman's voice whispers. But yes, you're right about everything. She hangs up before I can respond. I trace the call obsessively. It came from inside the company network. I can tell from the pattern. The woman on the phone knows something. She's taking a risk calling me. 3 days later she calls again. Same blocked number. This time she speaks faster. You didn't hear this from me, but the board is asking questions about the expansion. They're reviewing vendor contracts. Someone filed an internal concern, and it came from someone with access. He pauses. The audit trail shows multiple cost inconsistencies. The board is starting to realize those inconsistencies all point to the same place. My pulse steadies. My breathing slows. When? Ask. Soon. Probably within weeks. Vance is already getting nervous. He's been requesting access to older files. Trying to clean things up, I think. But it's too late. The board already has copies of everything. Why are you telling me this? Another pause. Longer this time. Because Vance said you were incompetent, and everyone who worked with you knows that's a lie. Because I watched him throw you under the bus to cover his own mistakes. And because I believe in actual justice instead of just corporate politics. Call ends. I sit in silence, understanding something crucial. The situation is moving without me. The board is investigating. The truth is coming out anyway. But I have an opportunity here. Window. I know exactly when to speak. I just need to figure out how. I don't apply for my old job. That would be obvious. That would raise flags. Instead, I look for temporary consulting contracts. Specifically, I search for compliance consulting work at my former company. Takes 2 weeks. But then I find it. A temporary position for a financial systems compliance specialist. The description mentions vendor contract review, cost center audits, and systems verification. It's perfect. Different title, different structure, different power. I apply through a third-party consulting firm to create distance between me and the company. I craft a resume that doesn't hide my termination but reframes it. Transitioned after completion of major project phase. It reads, technically honest. The consulting firm calls me within a week. They want you, the recruiter says, sounding surprised. Specifically by name. Apparently you've got a reputation for detailed work. They want someone who can do a real audit, not just surface-level stuff. My heart almost stops. They want me. Specifically. Even after everything. When can you start? The recruiter asks. Immediately, I say. The contract lands on Vance's desk 2 days before my first day. I know because I can imagine his face when he reads it. A shock. The calculations running through his mind. The realization that I'm coming back, and not as an employee he can fire, as something far more dangerous. The first moment I see him again, I'm walking into the office with my new badge. Temporary but still valid. Vance is in the hallway, checking his email, completely unaware. Then he looks up. Eyes meet. His smile flickers. It's just for a second, but I see it. The moment recognition hits. The moment he realizes what I'm doing here. His hand moves to shake mine too tightly. A display of dominance, a let's pretend this is normal gesture. Elena, he says, his voice strained. Didn't expect to see you again. Neither did I reply softly, looking directly into his eyes. But I guess the company needed someone with real compliance expertise. His smile tightens. He doesn't let go of my hand right away. When he finally does, I'm already walking past him toward the office that's been set up for me. It's small, but it has what I need. A computer with full system access. Not manager access, but compliance access, which is sometimes even better. Welcome back, someone whispers as I pass. It's the woman who called me. She's a junior HR coordinator. She gives me the slightest nod. I'm given access to everything. I don't move quickly. I don't throw evidence around or make accusations. Instead, I do my job, the real job I'm hired to do. I review vendor contracts. I verify cost center coding. I trace approval chains. All methodically. All professionally. All calmly. Vance grows restless. Can feel it. He starts interrupting my work, asking about my progress, dropping by my office with excuses. Just checking in, he says. But his eyes are sharp, nervous, impolite, professional, unmoved. The audit is straightforward, I tell him. Just verifying that systems align with approved procedures. Should take a few more weeks. He nods like he's trying to project confidence, but his jaw is tight. He pushes for faster timelines. He suggests focusing on recent transactions only to streamline the process. Each suggestion is a tell. Each one shows me exactly what he's worried about. Then, during a team meeting, I mention that I'll need to review approval logs from the past 18 months for comprehensive analysis. His coffee cup freezes halfway to his mouth. That seems excessive, he says too quickly. Maybe just the last few months. The compliance guidelines specify 18 months for vendor relationship audits. I say, quoting the manual. It's standard. He forces a smile and nods, but something has shifted. He knows I'm not here to be convenient. He knows I'm here to be thorough. That's when he makes his first real mistake. An email arrives in my inbox at 4:47 p.m. on a Thursday. Vance's name is in the sender field, but his assistant drafted it. Still, his signature is at the bottom. That matters. The email asks me to reclassify several vendor line items to avoid delays in quarterly reporting. The language is careful but clear. Move the expensive costs somewhere less visible. In other words, cover it up. I read it 3 times to make sure I'm not misunderstanding. But no. This is what it is. This is Vance, desperate and visible, asking me to participate in fraud. I respond immediately. I thank him for the guidance and ask for clarification. Could you specify which line items you're referring to and which cost centers they should be moved to? I want to make sure I'm following your direction precisely. It's a perfect response. It's polite. It's professional. It's also a trap. Because now he has to either clarify his illegal request in writing, or back away. He backs away. The next morning I get a vague email. Actually, let me review those items myself. Just focus on the other aspects of the audit. But it's too late. The first email exists. It's documented. It's timestamped. The evidence is complete. The board meets on a Tuesday afternoon. Vance sits at the table looking confident. His presentation ready. He's probably practiced it. He's probably convinced himself that everything is fine. The CFO asks for a routine audit update. I'm asked to sit in the back of the room and observe. That's all. Just observe. Vance presents quarterly results. He highlights the vendor expansion as a major success. He shows the edited numbers, the ones that make everything look perfect. The board nods. They ask a few softball questions. Everything seems fine. Then the CFO turns to me. Elena, as our independent compliance consultant, do these numbers align with your audit findings? My stomach tightens. This is the moment. This is where I either speak or stay silent. I stand up. I don't ask permission. I walk to the front of the room and pull up one slide on the projector. Just one. The slide shows a single graph. Timeline going back 18 months. Every transaction involving the expansion vendor. Every cost. Every invoice. Every approved amount. Then, overlaid in a different color, every amount that was actually recorded in the system. The difference is staggering. The gap between what was invoiced and what was recorded grows quarter after quarter, like a chasm opening wider. At the bottom, a simple number in bold red text. $4,020,000. $4,020,000. The room goes absolutely silent. I can hear someone's coffee cup hit the table. Someone else is already pulling out their phone. Vance laugh. It's the only sound. A nervous, desperate laugh. That's impossible, he says. She was fired for incompetence. I nod calmly. Yes. Over $5,000. The irony of the number sits there like a stone. Fired over $5,000. While $4 million disappeared under his watch. The board chair leans forward. Ms. Brooks, can you provide evidence of these discrepancies? Click to the next slide. Emails. Edit trails. Approval chains. His signature on vendor authorizations using inflated budgets. His approvals on cost reclassifications. Requests sent to me asking to adjust figures to avoid delays. Every single thing is documented. Every single thing has his name attached. The board watches in silence as I click through slides. Some of them are taking notes. One of them looks physically ill. The CFO's face has gone completely blank. Vance starts talking. She's misinterpreting the data. Those are normal business adjustments. The vendor provided. But I cut him off. Not aggressively. Just factually. The vendor's invoices show $5.2 million in charges over 18 months. The system recorded $1.18 million. The difference went into reclassified cost centers. Every reclassification was approved by you. Every one happened before your quarterly performance reviews. Pause. Let that sink in. I was terminated for flagging the first $5,000 of this discrepancy. Specifically, I raised questions about vendor costs that didn't align with market rates. You told me we didn't slow momentum. His face drains of color. We didn't. Legal walks into the room. Someone must have called them. They're carrying file folders and looking very serious. Vance stands up. He argues. He interrupts. He accuses me of misunderstanding accounting procedures. He claims the vendor provided value that justifies the costs. He insists that normal business operations require flexibility. Each word digs him deeper. If this was legitimate business practice, I say quietly. Why did you fire me for asking questions about it? His jaw clenches. Why is my glowing performance review missing from my personnel file? His hands grip the table. Why did you ask me in writing to reclassify costs to avoid delays? He opens his mouth. Nothing comes out. The board chair raises a hand. Mr. Keller, this appears to be a serious matter requiring formal investigation. We'll need to. This is a witch hunt, Vance says, his voice rising. She was a failing employee who I had to terminate. Now she's twisting data too. I have email evidence of you praising my work weeks before the termination, I say. I have the timeline. Have the math. I have your signature on every single document that created these discrepancies. The room feels like it's gotten smaller, like the walls are closing in. The board chair looks at Vance directly. I think you should step outside. Vance walks out of the boardroom. He's walking, but he's already collapsing inside. Can see it. The way his shoulders have curved inward. The way his face has gone gray. 2 board members follow him. The legal team follows. The room is suddenly smaller, quieter, heavier. The remaining board members look at each other. The CFO looks at me. You brought this forward today, the CFO says. You could have stayed away. You could have moved on. Why? I think about my sister telling me to let it go. My mother suggesting a career change. I think about the humiliation of being walked out by security. The shame of a termination for cause. Because if he did this to me, he's probably doing it to the company, investors and clients. And that's not okay. The CFO nods slowly. He walks out, leaving me alone in the boardroom with the compliance officer. We sit in silence. I don't know what happens behind those closed doors. I don't need to know. The legal team is in there. The board is in there. Vance is in there. I wait alone in the boardroom, my hands folded in my lap, my breathing steady. I've prepared for this. Every moment of the past weeks has been building toward this, and I'm not nervous anymore. I'm at peace. 20 minutes pass. Then 30. Then 45. Someone brings me coffee. The compliance officer comes back and asks me a few clarifying questions. Then the board chair returns. Ms. Brooks, we owe you an apology. The words sit between us. Your termination will be reversed, pending investigation. Your legal team can discuss settlement options. And the investigation into Mr. Keller's conduct will proceed immediately. I nod. This is what I expected. There's something else, he says. We'd like to offer you a position. Permanent. Compliance Director. You would oversee all vendor relationships and cost controls going forward. We need someone who actually pays attention to details. The irony isn't lost on me. They're offering me the position I was destroyed for being qualified for. I'll consider it, I say. But we both know I've already decided. The internal investigation moves quickly. Too quickly for Vance. Within 2 weeks, he's called into a formal meeting. This time he's not the one doing the firing. I don't watch it happen. I don't need to. The announcement comes by email. We regret to inform you that Vance Keller has been terminated for cause, effective immediately. This decision follows a comprehensive investigation into financial irregularities and violation of company policy. His bonuses and deferred compensation are subject to forfeiture pending legal review. His reputation is scorched. His career is over. Every company he tries to work for will see this termination. Every background check will flag it. Every reference will be tainted. By the time news spreads through the industry, Vance won't just be unemployed. He'll be unemployable. And I feel nothing. No joy. Not anger. Not even satisfaction. Just certainty. This was always going to happen. It had to. The only variable was whether I'd be the one to make it happen or if he'd get away with it. He didn't. That's all that matters. The board meets again and formally offers me the compliance director position. Salary, benefits, equity, real authority, real respect. Except, my first day as compliance director, I walk past Vance's old office. It's empty now. They're already cleaning it out, removing his name from the directory, erasing him from the physical space. The company is different. There's an energy shift. People talk about integrity, about accountability, about not tolerating corners being cut. I attend my first strategy meeting in my new role. The CFO introduces me to the executive team. Elena identified the vendor discrepancies that could have destroyed this company. She did it with precision, documentation, and patience. That's what we're building our compliance culture around. Heads nod. People take me seriously. No one questions my competence. No one treats me like I'm here to make trouble. They treat me like I'm here to prevent trouble. My office is bigger than Vance's used to be. The windows face the skyline. I decorate it with plants and photos of better times. Before the chaos, before the betrayal. My sister calls. I heard you got promoted. I did, I say. I'm sorry I told you to let it go. Don't be, I tell her. You were trying to protect me. I understand that now. And I do. But I also understand that some things can't be let go. Some injustices demand responses. Some people need to learn that their actions have consequences. My mother cries when I tell her. Happy tears. Proud tears. I see Vance one more time. Not at work. At a coffee shop near downtown. He's sitting alone, staring at his phone, looking smaller than I remember. Less threatening. Less powerful. He sees me. Our eyes meet for a split second. Neither of us smiles. He doesn't speak. He can't. What would he say? That he was sorry. That he made a mistake. That he underestimated me. All of it would be true. All of it would be meaningless. His world didn't just collapse because of fraud. Collapsed because he thought I was small. He thought I'd disappear quietly. He thought I'd accept shame and move on. He was wrong about who I am. I don't look back as I walk past his table. I don't need to. The moment is complete without closure or confrontation. He lives with what he did. I live with what I did about it. That's enough. Months later, I sleep through the night for the first time in a long time. No nightmares about humiliation. No anxiety about my future. No anger eating me from the inside. The shame is gone. Replaced by something quieter and more permanent. Self-respect. I hire my first compliance team. I implement new vendor protocols. I create systems that make future fraud more difficult. I mentor younger employees, especially ones who ask tough questions. My sister takes me to dinner. I'm really proud of you, she says. For what? Getting promoted. For being brave enough to demand justice instead of accepting injustice. My mother starts telling people about what I did. My daughter exposed massive fraud, she says. There's pride in her voice now instead of worry. One afternoon, sitting in my office with a cup of coffee, I realize something fundamental has shifted. I'm not defined by what happened to me anymore. I'm defined by how I responded. That's a better story. I've learned something true about power that most people never understand. Power doesn't belong to the loudest person in the room. It doesn't belong to the one with the biggest title or the most impressive credentials. Power belongs to the one who keeps records. Power belongs to the one who stays calm. Power belongs to the one who waits. I was fired over $5,000. An amount so small it should have been forgotten in a week. But I didn't forget. I documented. I verified. I built a case so airtight that the truth couldn't hide anymore. Vance lost $4 million. Not because he was careless, but because he was arrogant. He thought a termination letter would silence me. He thought shame would stop me. He thought I was small enough to disappear. He was wrong. And now, when people ask me about that day, the day I was walked out by security, the day my career supposedly ended, the day I became that person who was fired for cause, I smile. Because that wasn't the end of my story. That was the beginning. I proved something to myself that no one can ever take away. When the world tries to break you unfairly, you don't have to break. You can rebuild. You can fight back. You can win. Not with anger. Not with revenge. With something far more powerful. With the truth, meticulously documented, calmly presented, perfectly timed. That's the real power. And I'll never forget what it feels like to have it.